So game 6 here, after all the rigorous matches in the past, we have a board with Swindler on it, so this should be a good bit of fun to close out the match here. So the Swindler on board is also, you can build an engine, Bazaar Catacombs is draw, Royal Carriage is there, and after this game I have a newfound respect for Royal Carriage, you'll see. But yes, all these things support an engine. There's plus buy in Hamlet, also actions in Hamlet and Storeroom, and Crossroads is draw as well, not to be neglected at all. Crossroads in the late game can be powerful and just draw more cards than Catacombs, strictly. Duplicate is there, and I considered opening a duplicate, but I don't know how to play with duplicate, and I would much rather open Swindler and Swindler rather than duplicate and Swindler. Duplicate is good, but I mean, I thought Swindler was better. And the reason I buy two Swindlers, well, in a Swindler game, one of them is fodder. Your opponent's Swindler can nick one of your Swindlers, or your Swindler can nick one of their Swindlers, like I did here. So between Storeroom and Silver, I'm going to give him the Silver because Vineyards is on the board. I do not want to, I want to push down his action count for later Vineyards in any case. So here on 5, I pick up a Bazaar to support the two Swindlers that I have in my deck. 5/5 is excellent here. This Swindler isn't as good, just turning an estate back into an estate. I think that is the least valuable card between Crossroads and Hamlet. Again, I just don't want to give my opponent actions because Vineyards probably are going to come into play, and I don't want to just pump up your action count if I don't have to. Anyway, on this 5, I think about Catacombs, but I just pick up another Bazaar because of this. One of them might get nicked, right? And I still need the plus action. So one of them does get hit, gets turned into a duchy. No problem, no problem. The Swindler games are very dynamic games, and you always have to be changing your deck, adjusting your deck. I mean, yeah, okay, you lose a Bazaar, but whatever. Play with the deck you have now. Okay, now there's a duchy in there. Let me buy a Crossroads to make use of the increased green in my deck. I can probably get some draw out of it. So my opponent gets two Swindlers down here. One of them is good, skips an estate for me. The other one manages to land the first curse of the game. So, Swindler has hit a lot more expensive things before that. I get a curse in here and another estate in. So identical Swindler attacks for both of us. Now here I have 7, but really the significant number is 5 here. Another Bazaar, a Catacombs, a Royal Carriage, and these are the options that I was considering. Not really Merchant Ship, don't really want Merchant Ship, although Merchant Ship is decent in the Swindler game because it stays out of your deck for some time, but I pick up the Royal Carriage here instead of the Catacombs or the Bazaar. Because it sits on your mat, I think it'll be useful, and it immediately comes into play here, as does this Crossroads that I picked up. Draw 2, and then of the Royal Carriage, draw 3 more. Bang! Get the Swindler, and I get to hit my opponent's Catacombs. And here's where I realized Catacombs is decent in the Swindler game, because you get to choose something less than it to put into your deck. So you still have some control over what you put into your deck. So my opponent put a Crossroads in because they probably anticipated me giving them a duchy. I do give the duchy there. And here, between Catacombs and Royal Carriage, I picked the Royal Carriage over the Catacombs here. Maybe it should have been the Catacombs at that point, but I get the Carriage. Haven't seen it do good work just now. So that Swindler here turns a copper into a curse. I get an estate skipped, so that's good for me. 6 here. Now though, I pick up the Catacombs, trying to get the engine running as best as possible. So first things first, set aside your Royal Carriage. So I can call this, and I do call this on the Bazaar because I want the extra money to buy a 5-cost card. And here I'm able to snipe another Catacombs out from my opponent's deck here. They put a Storeroom into their deck, which turns out to be quite a good card. I didn't expect that, but it turned out to be a great card in this game. So here I do not call this Royal Carriage, just pick up a Storeroom here. Now, my plan for this Royal Carriage was to just leave it on the mat. Just leave it there until I have a decent turn, being some village and catacombs really, and then I can call the carriage on the catacombs and then get massive draw off of that. So I'm just kind of stockpiling these royal carriages, waiting to make a good turn into an even better turn for me. So that is my plan for the royal carriages. This game, my opponent gets to turn one of my coppers into a curse, and on 5 goes for a royal carriage at this point. So my opponent's first royal carriage, I have 2 already, and they've been doing good work. And here, this is what I want the royal carriage for. This is exactly why I want the royal carriage for turns like these. So I can put these cards in hand, call the carriage on the catacombs, look for a crossroads, find the crossroads. Luckily, it comes with a bunch of green, so I can draw with this crossroads in addition to getting the 3 actions. Now I can call the carriage again here to draw my entire deck, but I want to hold that carriage in reserve for when another turn like this appears. Ideally, I want to have at least 1 carriage on my mat every turn. I don't want to just be caught without a carriage. So here, duchy into duchy is easy, and the other Swindler, Storeroom, again I'm going to deprive my opponent of action cards, lowering their action count for vineyards, turning that Storeroom into a silver. And actually here Storeroom nets me a decent amount of money, 3 coin I believe. So again I can call the carriage on the Swindler, but just going to hold it in reserve. And I pick up a province on this $13 hand and another catacombs. The reason for the province is that, well, is Swindler proof. And if Swindler hits provinces, the game gets shorter, things can happen. So anyway, I lose one of my catacombs here, so I have a choice of a card costing less than catacombs to put into my deck. I opt for second Crossroads here, and that's another reason for the province. The Crossroads doesn't hate the province. It actually likes the province. It gets a lot of draw to it that way. And my opponent decides on what to give me here. So probably doesn't want to give me the duchy at this point, seeing me pick up a second Crossroads. And they don't give me the duchy actually. They give me a merchantship. So now that's still not bad because it doesn't deplete my action count, which means when I go for vineyards, still gonna be worth a decent amount. So copper into curse is an easy decision. Bazaar here into some 5 course is less easy, but I still opt for the duchy. Still think it is the worst $5 card, and again action count goes down there. And I keep the carriage on the mat because I have 5. I can still buy something decent, and I opt for a hamlet at this point and an expedition. Now I was hesitant to buy expedition throughout this entire game because I had vineyards in the back of my mind, and I don't want to spend that turn buying a card that's not an action really. But I decided to let me try the expedition. Maybe I can line things up and work from there. It doesn't work out for me on this turn, and I also lose a royal carriage there. Now losing a royal carriage is a big deal. That royal carriage put in a lot of work for this game. Losing it is a big deal for me. So here now my opponent starts in on the potions, picking up a potion and a hamlet here. I play this catacombs and laugh because my opponent could have hit one of those 3 cards instead of the royal carriage, but what can you do? That's the game. And all I have is 3, but is enough for another expedition. So we're trying this expedition again, and this one is much better. And I even get an estate skipped there, so that is even better for me. 5 coin for my opponent is going to be a bazaar here. So now the piles are starting to look thinner. See how Swindler operates sometimes. The duchies are low, the estates are low, and now the catacombs are low. So you have to be a little bit careful, try and hold your points advantage all the way till the end here. So I'm able to do that, call the royal carriage on the catacombs, which is what it was there for. It sat on that mat for a very long time, I believe, until I was able to get a turn with the bazaar and the catacombs. So here I get some draw from Crossroads as well. Play the Storeroom here first, just to drop to the end of the deck, and I'm going to discard everything I don't need for money. So here I miscounted. I should have discarded one more Swindler to get extra money out of the Storeroom, so that was bad of me. I wanted to play one of the merchant ships just to try to get them in play, because if they're not in play, then they just clog up your deck, you know. When they're in play, they're one less terminal for a turn in your deck. And I mean, it's $2, so not bad. So 14 here, another good turn for me. I go for the potion now, and another province, and the choice between Hamlet and Crossroads. The Crossroads is doing good work for me, but I pick up a Hamlet because I need the plus actions. I was unable to play that second Swindler there, and I would like to be able to play a second Swindler. Just a Crossroads for my opponent, and here I'm able to set aside the Royal Carriage. Good, I'm happy that is not able to be swindled. So there's another feature of the Royal Carriage. Swindler can't hit it if it's on the mat, right? And I'm able to turn a copper into a curse this late into the game, so I'll take it and get more catacombs. I need a bit more draw. With the Hamlet in my deck, I can probably support it. And there's also, you know, pushing down piles a bit. I have the points lead, so maybe I have a pile out. It depends on the Swindlers, really. And our play, of course, but the Swindler is random. So here my opponent gets the turn that I had, what, 2 times already, being able to call the Royal Carriage on the Catacombs. So I expect this to be at least a province turn for my opponent if they choose to get the province. Maybe at this point in the game you should get the province, with the piles being so thin. Didn't find time for duplicate, unfortunately, but I mean, there were just other things that were also at least as good other than duplicate. This hand is great for me, by the way. 3 green cards on our Crossroads. Excellent. We love it. We love it. And like, there's no real bad targets for Swindler here. If you hit my estates and turn them into actions, then I go for vineyards and push the vineyards up that way. If you hit my actions and turn them into green cards, then I get Crossroads and get draw to them. So here I pick up an estate of the Hamlet from my opponent's Swindler. They come up with 12 potion rather, and what, 3 buys. Go for not a Hamlet, a vineyard, a province, and a second potion. Could have been an expedition there, but the second potion I understand, because I'm getting provinces. They need to get the what is this called? The more vineyards to compensate for the extra provinces that I probably will have. So here I get to call Royal Carriage on Crossroads and draw a heap of cards and not lose any actions from it as well. Actually, I do lose the actions, never mind. I'm dumb. I get to play a Swindler here, and I get to trash a Bazaar, so that's great, but I don't feel like giving my opponent a duchy at this point, especially now that they have the lead, or at least as many points as me, so I just turn it into a merchant ship. I feel that is the least useful of the $5 cards at this point. Duchy just gives them 3 points, and I don't want to do that. I have 12 potion here as well, so Vineyard is obvious, Province is obvious. Both of our Vineyards are with 4 points right now, so better than Duchy, which is good. And here I could pick up an action to try to boost my Vineyards, or I could pick up the Expedition, and I go for the Expedition instead. And I am rewarded. Royal Carriage shows up, Catacombs and Hamlet shows up. So that is good news for me. Also the potion is there, which is important, especially given that my opponent has 2 potions. Really want to contest that, try to choke out the points for my opponent, make sure they have no way to score extra points. So I still get my coppers turned into curses here, so my opponent picks up a Vineyard, and with 5 coin, couple choices really. Go for the Royal Carriage, trying to avoid piles, I presume. And Royal Carriage is a good card. Royal Carriage has been excellent in this game. Has been so good for this reason, that it can draw 6 cards, and Catacombs just lets you select, okay, which 6 do I want? You know, and then Crossroads comes in with this immense draw power. Immense. In the late game, Crossroads is stellar. So here I really am just looking for the Storeroom, unable to play any of my Swindlers, but that's okay, at least I'll get money out of them. Unable to discard a heap of cards here for money. Coming up with 20 and 1 potion here, so easy call here, Vineyard and double province, and that puts me far ahead. Just need to get enough money to get to the last province. Maybe Swindler will hit it. In the meantime, I can keep contesting vineyards or buying duchies and just carrying home this large lead I got from the last turn there. So my opponent gets another vineyard, picks up an expedition. Here, Royal Carriage goes on the mat. Swindler just turns curse into curse, which is good for my opponent. I considered calling this carriage to buy an expedition, an attempt to end the game, but again, I stick to the plan that I had for the whole game, just holding it there, waiting for maybe Crossroads to appear with some green or Bazaar Catacombs. Instead, with the $2, the choice is between the estate for the immediate point or one of the action cards to try and boost up my vineyards. I go for the action card. I'm not sure how many actions I have, so hopefully this could boost my vineyards. I have what, 2 or 3, so it could be a 3-point action, but I'm not sure where I am on the vineyard count. If I do choose one of the 2 cost actions, then maybe Crossroads is better, just because it can draw. But I choose the Hamlet. I mean, it doesn't really matter at this point. I'm unlikely to see that card. My opponent's expedition turn isn't great, and look at this. This is immense. This is immense. Crossroads just putting in so much work in the end here, and I thought it would. I've been beat enough times by late game Crossroads to know that it works well in the late game. So that is the end of the match. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.